Hi, this is an announcement for fans of videos of the channel. Right now, short version, all videos are on hold. I'm having a domestic crisis which is affecting my ability to make more videos. I do not know how long this is going to last. I will be back at some point. The next real video should be Freeman's Mind. That's about all you really need to know. I'm not a fan of videos where they take 5 minutes to get to the point. So I guess if you want to know more, that's what the rest of this video is going to be. And I'm probably going to be doing some cuts because I can't remember everything in my head while I'm staring at a camera, so I'm going to have to keep looking at notes here. Okay, so a few days ago, literally the day after I finished the last game dungeon, I noticed a really strong musty smell in my room to the point where I was coughing, I'm halfway choking on it. And this happened right after we had a real heavy rain. So I used this as an excuse to think, all right, I need to get around to spring cleaning anyway. Things have been getting a little dusty. So I just spent all of the next day just cleaning my room, just cleaning out everything, dusting, cleaning up the floor cracks, closets, just everything. During that process, I did find a little bit of mold or yellow spots that smelled strongly of mushrooms. Ironically, it was right near the window, which, I try to let light and, air get through there. There's always some air flowing. But whatever, I treated that with hydrogen peroxide and later baking soda and water. I mostly neutralized that, but then when I came back later, it's like the smell is still there. It gets a lot worse with the computer running just because of the fans. So since then, I've moved into my living room. And here, I'll show that. Here is my current computer setup. That picture on the wall in the back of the sailboat, that's not mine. That came with the apartment. Yeah, and actually here, I'll zoom in. That's masking tape over these mystery holes in the wall. I don't know where they go. I don't really want to know. But I've been under siege by so many bad smells, I figure maybe something's coming from there too. Now, the secret about my living room is I've never really had a living room. That's because we don't have a dryer, so we have to have a place to hang the laundry after that's done. And for whatever reason, my clothes seem to take about 3 days to dry. So as you can see, I'm kind of flanked on either end by clothes here. So that makes this a less than ideal setup. Also, the posture is not so great with where my keyboard is and the mouse. I'm using basically old motherboard boxes to try to get the height halfway normal. That's a towel over a secondary case there just to sort of mop up the dust. Now, you might be wondering, well, what about with these clothes? Why don't I just get a dryer? Well, bite the bullet and do it. I've thought about that, but here, let me show you the bathroom. Okay, we're going to need a flashlight for this part. Here's where you're going to think I'm making things up. I'm not. Around this same time, the lights started flickering so badly, it was just painful to even use. And it turns out they use this specialized bulb, F9BX, or whatever that was, again, put in by the previous tenant. See, if I hit the switch here, oh gosh, you can't even see that. Nothing. So here, we're going to go in with a flashlight. Okay, and the thing is, the bathroom has been overrun by mold. Maybe I can find a spot here. You can't see anything on this camera. I have to switch it to the low light settings. But anyway, this wall got kind of scraped. Basically, the entire wall was coming down several months back, sometime last year. Yeah, you can't see anything in here. All right, this isn't going to work, but there's all these tiny mold spots, if the camera will focus on that, which it may not. Yeah, you can see some of it there. Just all over the ceiling. Now the landlord came in, scraped it all, and then we tried to treat it once, and we've treated it once since then, but it's just going to keep coming back. And here, I'll get out of here, 1 second. What's happened since then, several months back, an inspector for the building, like the administration came by, they did some tests, they said the ventilation's not good enough here, it's maintained poorly. It's not maintained poorly. It was made poorly, and that was it. I never heard from them again. So it's like, okay, so what about us? I don't know. But I think the problem's kind of spreading maybe to more of the apartment where I am, because I've really tried to be diligent about letting sun and air get in there, but only so much I can do. Oh, that's right. I was going to show you the dryer. All right, well, back to the darkness. Here, I'll spread the light around so you can sort of get an idea of what's going on. As you can see, that's the bathtub, and then that's the dryer. There's like no, and then here's the sink. So there's no space at all. I mean, not the dryer, that's the washer. There's no space at all for a dryer in here. Now this light thing, okay, I'll get out of here again. So yeah, I pretty much have to use the living room as a clothes drying area, because God forbid I take clothes that aren't completely bone dry into my room before they're ready, because I'm having enough problems with something growing as it is. And the thing is, I don't think it's just my room or the bathroom. I think it's maybe this entire district. Here, I'll show you. You can see on the side of the building, I don't know how much this is going to show up on the camera, but that looks like a lot of mold or mildew or something, you know, for something that gets direct sunlight. It's like all the buildings are like this. Hey, look at that. That's my window right there. Look at that, you know, the drip coming down right out of that. Okay, now let's go back inside for a minute. And hey, if we look in here, here's inside the infected room. You know, see, here's the window. Look at that. There's this crack running along there. You know, I don't think that was there when I moved in, but I can't remember. So it wouldn't surprise me if just a whole chunk of the building were to fall off given a long enough time. Okay, I mean, I'm not an architecture expert, but is it normal having like those stripes of what looks like, you know, some sort of growth or seepage or something? Look, it's like in layers. It's like it's growing in between where they built it. I don't know. I mean, look at that. I mean, what's that? Did you just cover over a pipe or what? You know, I haven't played it, but in The Last of Us, don't they have these kind of fungal mutant people that just kind of overrun everything? I feel like this is ground zero for that. You know, in 10 years, all these apartments are going to be mushrooms. Just mushrooms. So I'm trying to get out before that happens. Now, I think part of it's that maybe these were built for a different climate, because these past 2 winters in Poland have been incredibly warm. I mean, it's like spring in December and there's just almost no snow at all. We got plenty of rain, but my wife has a theory that the developers are just using the cheapest possible materials and just cutting corners on everything to make a quick buck. Maybe, I don't know. Either way, it's become my problem in a pretty big way. Okay, so back to my apartment. Like I said, this is not an ideal computer setup right now. This is what it looks like from behind the computer. Again, this is not gonna help my posture at all. And it's sort of a distraction that the window's always open there, but I don't dare close the curtains. 1, because I need the clothes to dry, and 2, I have no curtains. The blinds fell down months back. I've told the landlord about this. Here, I'll show you. This one fell down more recently, just like last week or so. Like it just detached from the rod there. This one, you know, down there, that broke off from the mounts. You know, it's the sort of thing where, yeah, maybe I'll fix it myself, but I tend to be pretty busy. Plus, it's the landlord's job anyway. So you hope that he would do it, and if I do it, maybe I don't get compensated for it. I don't know. And as for other distractions, you know, the kitchen is right there in the back, so I'm not, even if things get completely good to go here, it's not going to be, I expect my productivity to go down. I'm not going to be recording here because it's too echoey. Like even on my better mic, you know, talking in normal volume, it's maybe okay, but if I have to get loud, it's real obvious. I'm not an ideal recording setup. Now, what's really sort of haunting me is that even on this new setup, I think the air currents are stirring up some other stuff, even though I've tried to clean everything just about, that I'm noticing sort of a different musty smell. Now, it's not nearly as bad as what's in the room. That I'm just coughing on it's even irritating my eyes. I was even getting a headache from there. I can barely use that at all. Here I can use it, but it's like every 10 to 30 seconds, I get sort of a reminder that something doesn't smell right. So it's like I can't focus on anything. So this is unfortunate because I kind of use my computer for everything, for work, obviously, but also for entertainment. If I want to play a game or watch something, it's all through that. Now, believe it or not, wouldn't say I'm actually a computer addict. If you told me I could never use a computer again, I could adapt to that. I mean, it'd suck. I wouldn't like that, but the problem is, I could pursue other things, but the problem is I'm not going to be earning a living then. And that ends up being a much bigger problem the longer it goes on. So this is leaving me a little distraught at the moment. Now see, I thought of using a dust mask like this, but then the condensation will come up and fog my glasses, which I use to use the computer. So it's like, it got me at every turn. Anyway, this experience has got me thinking about what's kind of really important in life, which for me, air is pretty close to the top of the list. If I feel like I can't breathe properly, that just ruins my productivity for anything, just from like real simple things. And shelter is not far behind on the list. So like really up there for what matters to me. So what is being done about this? Well, I've really kind of gotten in my landlord's face about this. You might think I have a bad landlord. I've had worse. Plus, it's hard for me to get upset at him because he kind of looks like a sad Sean Bean, maybe slimmer. And are you really going to get like real angry at sad Sean Bean? But I've gotten very pushy because, not being able to breathe is really where I draw the line. And so he's going to contact the administration about that crack that you saw earlier. Maybe that fixes it, maybe it doesn't. But he needs to come in and treat the bathroom at some point anyway. Maybe he can do my room at the same time, and then I could just evacuate my apartment for a few days or however long it takes. To be honest, I don't think he's actually going to solve anything. But what I'm hoping he can do is put down some antifungal paint or something to just buy me enough time until I can move out of here for real. So, unfortunately, there are more complications with moving out. Because while I'd be ready to look for a place to move right now, my residence permit has expired. Now, I submitted the application before the date you're supposed to. Everything's been filed away. That's another hell in itself. I'm not going to talk about that now. But it's good to go. But the problem is I am waiting on the immigration office to approve my residence permit. And without that, I don't think I'm going to be able to rent another place. And in all honesty, that could be tomorrow that they approve it, or it could be maybe 6 months from now. I have no idea. They are so incredibly backed up there at the immigration office, more than I've seen at any point. So I'm kind of treading water on that front. But even then, searching for another apartment is just hell for me because it's like I need this kind of trifecta that's really hard to come by. I need a place I can work, which unfortunately means being loud sometimes. I can work out what times because it's just voice acting. But say I have to do a few real loud lines for Freeman's Mind, and then the neighbor were to come bang on the door and tell me to stop or they're going to call the cops. Well, if I've signed a lease for a year, that's it. I lose. Now, fortunately, that hasn't happened yet, but I think I've mostly been lucky. And I have had some close calls like that. So it makes me completely paranoid about a new place. Now, the other thing I need is affordability. And unfortunately, these two tend to not be so compatible. It's like if I have one, I don't have the other. And the third thing is a place that won't kill me. And for the most part, I actually do, thanks to donations and combined with the YouTube income, I do tend to earn enough to not have to worry about that, usually. It's only recently that this has sort of come up. But these two have been really tricky. Now you might be asking, well, Ross, if you're having all these problems in Poland, why don't you just move back to USA? Well, I've thought of that, and that's probably not going to happen for two reasons. One, my wife is kind of terrified of going to USA. what can I say? Much of her perception of it is what she sees in the news, so, they're not really doing any favors there. I've tried to tell her Colonial Williamsburg is pretty awesome. I want to see that again. But the main reason is I'm not sure I can even afford to live in the USA anymore. I currently live in Poland, and the cost of living is definitely lower. I've found that supporting myself and my wife comes to about the same cost as just living by myself in USA. So if I were to move back, that would be a completely different set of problems. Actually, let's see what my lovely wife has to say about the situation. Magda, do you have anything you would like to add? So right now, it's sort of like I'm unemployed. It definitely feels that way. It's that same kind of feeling I've had being unemployed in the past because I can't do my job. And it feels a little bit, I'm not saying it's that bad, like being homeless. I mean, it's not because I have a place to sleep and that's not contaminated yet. But it's kind of like where I live should maybe be condemned. I don't know. So it's not a great feeling, and having that constant stress makes it incredibly difficult to focus on work or just anything entertaining, especially if I can't breathe. So that's the number one priority: get a setup where I can breathe. That's what I'm gonna be working on. I mean, all I've been doing the past couple of days is just cleaning. So. Once I'm able to breathe and use a computer, I'm not there yet, then I have a lot more options. I can definitely work on things. I still won't be able to record, but I can maybe get ahead in some scripts and maybe some footage for Game Dungeon, which is half the battle right there. Also, the movie, there's always plenty to do on that. So I'll feel a lot better. It still will not be a great situation. In fact, it sort of reminds me a little bit of that meme of that guy on the street that they made into like a World of Warcraft server room status. But if the renovation does fix the problem, at least in the short term, then I'm set. I can go back to making videos and hopefully buy myself enough time till I can actually get out of here. And then that's the final goal, is just get out of here in some capacity. It's like right now I feel trapped, and it's just not a good way. So that's where I am at the moment. If you have advice or want to help, you're welcome to contact me. If I have the use of a computer that I can breathe at and have internet, then I'll try to respond. You don't have to send me advice on what to kill the mold with. I have to find the source first. That's what's driving me crazy, is I don't know where it is. In fact, you might think, hey Ross, you ever thought maybe it's your computer that has the problem? It's not. I've sniffed over that like a dog, just down on all fours, sniffing every little component. It's not the computer or the parts. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm sure the fan's kicking up something in the apartment is what's doing it, but where that is. So the takeaway of this is I am down for the count. It's like in action movies where, they kick the guy's kneecap and it just goes straight down. I kind of feel like that's where I am right now. I think I'll come back. I mean, you know what? I've beaten Quadralian. I can beat this. But the solution is not obvious to me at all at this point. Once I get that residence permit, then I should have more options and eventually get to something good again where I can start earning a living again. All I'd really ask is if you like the videos, come back at some point. Again, once Freeman's Mind is up, things should be back to normal. So yeah, I'm hoping to get my sanity together with all this. If I can breathe, then I'm good. So I do not know when the next video is going to be, guys. Hopefully not terribly long, but yeah, I know when I've been defeated, and I've got to regroup and figure things out. So more stuff coming in the future eventually.